Hello again, folks. Welcome back to this Nottingham Forest Challenge video series that I'm doing here. So we're looking to get Nottingham Forest out of debt, get them up through the Championship season here, or the English First Division as it is at the time, as this game was 22 years ago, of course, but still holds up as, in my opinion, the best football manager game that we've ever seen. What we're going to do in this third video is just go over some players that we can bring in at the start of the season. Again, as you know, we've got no money here, so it's going to be free transfers only. So let's start searching. I don't tend to go for any players over 30. The reason for that is they're never going to have any resale value. So I just avoid it basically. I mean, you can get the odd one, but again, because we don't have much money here, kind of pointless for that. So if you just do a quick search at the start, filter it out, set your ages, contract expired and interested, yes. So you can actually see there's a few different players here that are kind of willing to speak to us. And good news is there's a couple of goalkeepers here. So this guy, Alejandro, really good player. So there will be a bit of competition for him. So what I'd do is I'd offer him an indispensable status. Because you're going to probably be lower on wages than some of the other clubs that will come in for him, and you can always change that once you've got him in. What I would do as well is, because of the cash situation, I would just offer as many players as you can a deal. This guy though, again, as I say, look, with the stamina set at 3, yes, he sometimes spawns as a good goalkeeper, but I just would leave that alone there. And this guy's good, constant Mante, but he's Ghanaian and he probably won't get a work permit, so I wouldn't waste your time with that in England. So we'll just go through. If we pick up excess players by doing this, you just sell them basically. So what you want to do is just make sure that you get at least 1 or 2 of these guys. So that's 4 goalkeepers I've been able to put in offers for, 4 Spanish goalkeepers. Do you know what? They're all good enough to play in the English First Division. Got Andy Williams here, cracking little versatile midfielder. Would love to get this guy in, so if we can get him, that's great. Brahim, he'll come up quite often. Decent French centre half. Might not get him there because our wages are a bit under, but just put in the offer anyway, you never know. And Luis Martinez here, another one who is a half decent central midfielder. Setanovic, stats look good there, but again, he's one of the ones that, with the Eastern Europeans and the African players, a lot of the time they just won't get work permits. He's got a few international caps, but he's not really what we need there anyway. So when you start the game, this is what you're going to see for the free transfers, or the by doing the search. But what is really comes in handy is just kind of knowing the players that you can search for that are without club. So I'll go through a few of these guys. So one of the things is they won't always spawn the same at the start of the game. But this guy is a cracking little young striker in João Paiva. So he'll pretty much sign for any club. You don't need to offer him a lot of money. Even in lower leagues, I mean, I've signed this guy for like East Stirling in Scotland, and he's on fire in those leagues. But I would always bring him in, because even if you don't start him, just sit him developing in the reserves there, and he does he does turn into a cracking player. There's a fantastic option in Spain called Ico or Ico, and you'll see this guy here. Brilliant stats, finishing 17, pace 15, heading 13. So this guy is a pretty decent striker for that kind of level. Sometimes there's a bit of competition for him, but fairly confident that we'll get hold of him there as well. So who else is going to start out of contract? There are a few that you can check in Scandinavia, but they don't always spawn the same. So this guy Lekic, he's not looking that good. There's Nardiello. Am I spelling that right? Nardiello. Yeah, so he's, again, he spawns differently every time. Now, his finishing looks terrible, it is, but look at his other stats. So he is worth bringing in, even if you end up selling him. There's usually a bit of interest in him, so you might not get him, to be fair. But it's worth giving it a try for him. There are other strikers in the game that are starting without club, but again, with it being in the Championship and the English First Division, you're not going to be likely to get these guys in with the kind of work permit side of things. So I won't show you those. But if you guys want me to do a kind of deeper dive video about out of contract or no club players at the start, we can do that. So as you can see, we're already kind of building up a bit of a shortlist here. Given that we're starting with 2 decent strikers at the club as well, we don't necessarily need that many to come in. So those 3 decent strikers to bring in, and they've all signed for most clubs at a decent level. So if you look for attacking midfielders here, this guy's a hidden gem, this Adolfo. Again, he's a player that you can bring in at any level. Now, I know his finishing doesn't look the best, but he's fast and he just does the business, so he's worth bringing in as well. Because the more you can bring in, the more you can sell, and the more you can kind of clear that debt as well. So Adolfo, great one to look at. This guy's one that kind of spawns differently every time. Yeah, not looking too great just now, but he is versatile. Karsten Olsen, or Olsen. So you can see there, plays defender, defensive midfielder, forward, right centre. So I'm not going to sign him for Nottingham Forest, but if you're playing for a smaller club, you're starting with no limited funds, this guy is really good to bring in because he's so versatile. He can literally play anywhere. So if you've got a thin squad, Olsen's one to look at. Wouter Koss, again, stats aren't spawning that great, but he's another one that you can bring in at a smaller club there as well. So looking at somebody for central midfielder, this guy's always worth a look. Agustin, or Augustin, another free transfer from Spain. He does the job, so to beef up the squad, bring him in as well. One thing that there's not many options for in the no club signings is wingers, wide players, and goalkeepers. So they're a little bit harder to find. There's all sorts of videos out there where you can look at this in a bit more detail, but if you know your stuff with the players that are out of contract and out of clubs, without clubs at the start, you know, you can really get a good head start on clearing debt or just bringing in a budget team. There is a young winger that plays in Greece that I tend to have a look at. I can never remember his name. So just type in Greece basically, and then it will bring you up. There's only eight different pages of players. This is a guy here, Moriatis. So he's a half decent left winger, and he'll likely sign for us as well. So we'll have a look at him. There's also a Portuguese left winger, if I can remember his name. Hugo Valdier, I think it is, yeah. So if we go Hugo Valdier. Now he's only young, he's 17. And unfortunately, his stats have spawned really well. That would be a solid player to develop, but strength free, forget it. He's just going to be crocked all the time, and it's not something that you can't develop strength from free to anything decent. If it's 9 or 10, you can get it up there with a bit of training, but anything from like sort of 8 below on strength, I would just leave them alone because there will just be injury cases, and I don't even. I've seen them with strength 1 before, which how's that even possible? Because like they couldn't walk the length of the road probably, but there we are. That's one of the little intricacies of the game, which I do find a bit irritating, but there you are. Otherwise, he was a good player. So yeah, we can have a look at a few little centre halves that come up at the start that you can look at as well. Got Helder Rosario is always worth a look. And he's half decent there, and he will develop as well, so he's probably worth bringing in, even if it's just to allow me to sell another player for cover. We've also got Michael O. Anderson. It works if you spell Michael right. So he's another kind of young Danish player. He spawns differently every time, but this time doesn't look like he's worth picking up. And this guy, which is marked with a double A, is a half decent centre half that you can bring in. Again, probably not for Nottingham Forest, but if you're starting at like smaller clubs, this guy's dynamite. You can also give him a player coach role as well. So if you're struggling for coaches, because he can do a player coach role, he's worthwhile bringing in at smaller clubs as well, but we're not going to bother with him for Nottingham Forest. However, this chap here, Florin Bratinu, he is a brilliant centre half to bring in. Again, you can offer him player coach, but I don't need to do that. But this guy is well worth bringing in. He will get a work permit usually, so you can bring him in. Yeah, so that's the kind of players that I would go with on the no club. So you can see it's still only day one here. I haven't actually kind of moved forward at all, and we've got a list of like more than a page of players here. Even if we get half of these in, it's going to beef the squad up to the numbers, and it's going to let me put another few players up for sale so I can alleviate some of the debt. So it's well worth doing. So we'll just move forward with that. So I've got some bids coming in here for Dawson. Put a done in 18 million. Hopefully I can get a little bit more for Bart Williams before we go into administration. But yeah, even just clearing 2 or 3 million at the start is great. Yeah, you can take Bob off my hands because he can't move. So you can see it doesn't take you long to get a few of the players sold there as well. And then what I'd do as well is, after you've started the game on the Saturday, I would always go back to checking your free transfers again on the Monday, because there will be a few extras that spawn. Like this guy's a brilliant goalkeeper, but again, Kovacevic is it? Again, because he's uncapped Eastern European, if you're starting in England or Scotland, he won't get the work permit, unfortunately. But yeah, so there's not really anybody of interest there as well just yet, so we'll carry on with that. There we are. So that's list of all the players that I've went for. As you can see, what I'm going to do is come back with the next video once we've actually got them all signed, or got who we've signed on, and we'll come back ready for a wee pre-season friendly that I'm going to set up, so we'll see how that gets on. So thanks for watching again, folks. There's your list of players, all worth having a look for there if you start with Nottingham Forest, and some of those guys I went through with you as well, fantastic for smaller clubs. So yeah, I'll catch you in the next video. Bye for now.